All right, let's start with some breaking inputs which have just come in, where Russia's ambassador to Lebanon has said that any US missiles that are fired at Syria would be shot down and the launch sites will also be targeted. Alexander Zasypkin has said that he was referring to a statement by the Russian President Vladimir Putin, the Russian Chief of Staff. All right, now for more on this, we are joined in by our senior editor, Surya Gangadharan. Surya, good afternoon to you. This, of course, is a very significant development in the light of what is happening. We're given to understand that US President Donald Trump is likely to take a decision on what he intends to do in Syria after the chemical weapons attack there, and also bearing in mind the fact that there were missile strikes which were carried out, which it is widely believed was done by Israel.
Well, I think we need to look at some of the indications on the ground. The Eurocontrol, which oversees Europe's air safety over the Mediterranean and other areas, has warned airlines not to fly in those areas because of the possibility of cruise missiles being fired in that area over the next 72 hours. So that gives you an indication as to the possible window during which the strikes can be anticipated. And we also have reports from the Russians saying that they are going to switch on the radars of the S-400 air defense system that they've got in Syria, which means that they can hit back if they detect those missiles coming anywhere near Syria. So it would seem that a face-off of some kind is going to happen, a confrontation of some kind, perhaps for the first time, directly between two superpowers is imminent.
All right, now, in the light of what has been said by the Russian ambassador here, do you think that the United States will still proceed to try and, up the ante in terms of what's happening in Syria?
Well, the indications from Washington is that President Trump is contemplating a forceful response. He is consulting partners and allies on the nature of the response. Is it going to be missile strikes? Is it going to be cruise missiles? Is it going to be something else? They have the assets in the Mediterranean. The US Navy has a number of ships over there. So in that sense, there's no problem with carrying out a strike. The only question is how they do it and what they hit.
Right, and also, Surya, just considering the fact that, it's not lost on anyone, that the Syrian crisis essentially has now become a sort of a proxy for the US and Russia to face off.
It has been a proxy war for quite some time. In fact, ever since the Russians intervened in 2015, forcibly on the side of President Assad. And since then, Russia has upped the ante. It has become the dominant player in Syria. In fact, some would say it has even displaced the US and other parts of the Arab world. You can see the manner in which Saudi Arabia and other countries that were so firmly in the American camp quoting the Russians. So clearly, the times are changing in that part of the world. Russia has re-emerged as a major player in the Arab world. And this is something the US has to either counter or accept.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Surya Gangadharan, for joining us and getting us those updates of very, very ominous signals there coming in, where the Russian ambassador has now made it clear that any sort of a missile strike that would be attempted on Syria, most likely by the Americans, could in fact be intercepted by the Russian S-400 anti-missile defense system that they've got in place.